It's time to finally discuss Instagram in its full glory, since it seems to be the main code musicians want to crack these days. And with good reason. It has become more effective at making fans and posting news than nearly any tool musicians have ever had. With that said, I rarely see a musician who's taking full advantage of what an amazing tool Instagram is to build a fan base. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do Instagram right. Hi, I'm Jesse Cannon and this is Musformation. So we have to start off with a reality check, because unfortunately other music promotion channels lie to you and tell you what you want to hear. Because they know that a lot of people can't hear the hard truth, and if they tell you it, they won't get views. So let's get real. Instagram is not the main place where your fan base is going to build its first 10,000 fans. So if you don't have that many fans yet, I want you to stop thinking this is where your growth is going to come from. Right now. Don't be like an addict and begin to bargain and start panicking trying to deny this. It's time to look this in the eye because you have a problem. People have sold you a bad placebo of a drug, and there's a reason it hasn't been working, because it's exactly that, a placebo that doesn't work to get the job done unless it's by luck. This is not where the work gets done. It's been building community. So if you haven't watched my video on that, it's linked in the description or in the card up right now. And do that before you waste another day of your life. But right now you're thinking, Jesse, what the fuck, bro? I can't believe you're telling me not to use Instagram. You said this video is about that. Why did I even click your stupid video? How am I gonna get that e-girl I Venmo $20 to all the time to notice me, since that's not working and I know she likes musicians? First, rough times, my dude. Second, that's not what I said. What I'm saying is that there's a myth that Instagram, and even worse, ads on Instagram, are gonna be where you get your first few thousand fans. This is total bullshit. But what it is good for is helping to build up those 10,000 fans. It's just not most of the answer. Obviously, this is an amazing tool. It can give you some gains in fans. So let's talk about how to make that happen, since you should be optimistic since you're about to learn tons of tools. Let's first start with your profile. Since if you happen to get someone's attention, you need to have your profile right so it does work for you. And if you f this up, everything else we will be doing will be for nothing since it won't serve you. First, do not imitate huge artists and make your bio about your latest single. I know they all do that. They do that because a friend of one of their fans got told to listen to their new song God Tier Fedora or something, and then someone searches the artist's name their friend told them, and they realize what song to listen to because they remember the name. You need to take this time to get someone excited enough to leave one app and go to another to hear you, which is really hard to do. So remember in our video on how to pitch for Spotify, we talked about knowing what's exciting about you? This is what we need to put here. Even better, since we have so little room here, try to think about what would pique someone's curiosity to want to hear what you sound like. We need to think about that if they come across you for whatever reasons. We want to have something that's exciting enough that they want to know more and then guide them to check out your music, since that's our main goal. Next, for your URL, you need to get yourself a link tree. As you can see here, this is my link tree. It can point your potential fans to all the different things you are promoting and serve as a traffic sign of where fans should go to get what they want from you. What I then like to do, if you're promoting your song, is you can use one of those song.link links, which is a free service you can use to share the link for every streaming service. If somebody clicks on that, they can then find their preferred service. After this, we have your story highlights. Odds are if you're watching this, you don't yet have the 10,000 followers you need so that people can do the swipe up function to go to links, so we have to do what we can here. The first story highlight should always be music, with some taste of your music and some text on those stories to click the link tree in the bio to hear more. I think a fun one after this is Who We Are, where you just put a bunch of stories that show why someone would want to follow you by showing your personality and some of your highlights of your stories. If you post a bunch of comic book nerd stuff outside your music or funny guitar tutorials, this is where they should go. After this, put in concert footage, music video clips, slides with social media address, all that stuff works great. If you take some time to go back through your Instagram stories, you can easily organize some old content into these categories. Okay, but what should you be posting in your feed? This is where you should put your best content where you took a long time with. This is your well-produced hi-fi content, and not to say your story should be trash. These posts should be news, YouTube, previews, fun stuff, eventful things, and most of all, essays on what your songs mean with strong images. Particularly what I like to think of is the golden posts of IG are a strong image coupled with a story in the caption that fans can bond and engage with. The second biggest gold for feeds are carousels with multiple images. Particularly here, if you release a new song, I would do one with the cover image, an image of some song info, and another image with some credits where you can tag a bunch of people who can share and up the engagement. We have to remember carousels should be employed as often as possible, since if they're getting engagement, they will continually show up on a follower's feed. They are also another reason to get multiple angles of every picture. These carousels are also amazing for merch drops or seasonal announcements of what's in your merch store. One of the best tricks is that when you're under 10,000 fans and can't do the swipe up trick, is to ask if your followers want to see something to do a certain emoji in the comments. This gives you the chance to write them in their DMs with a link that's socially acceptable. Yes, some of them won't engage, but as I always tell you, at this level, it's one fan at a time, so you need to put in the work. While I believe big announcements should also be on your website if you have one, since you give fans the chance to stick around and see everything you have going on, if you don't have a website, do this on Instagram, since your chances of it spreading are the greatest here, as Instagram links are easy to share and repost. Now let's talk about stories. Stories are the place you should be building those bonds we talked about in my guide to social media. I like to think there is a traffic situation here in that all of your feed posts should go up to your stories, but your stories don't go to the feed. In fact, if you are utilizing those carousels, set an alarm throughout the day and continually share them into your story throughout the day. It's where you need to show who you are and have conversations that make your followers feel closer to you. Think of it this way. For years, audiences would let musicians get away with oversharing on Tumblr. Instagram stories are now that place. Using polls and questions and AMAs is how you bring followers an understanding of who you are and what you do. In fact, really silly questions go a long way here. Honestly, the most ridiculous thoughts are often what works best. Using polls, create a discussion or a fight and reply about what the audience has chosen and discuss it more. Keep conversations going in your stories. You should always be thinking as you are going throughout your day what thoughts and things you are doing that you can share in your stories. Now let's talk about both posts and stories. Geotagging locations is crucial, as so much of discovery when you're below 10,000 fans is getting reshared by these locations so people become familiar with your name. If you are hanging out at places where potential fans hang, get a picture and create the bond of showing them that you're in their community. Also remember, you can always drag tags off the screen if they look bad in the picture so it stays there, but the tag remains. As we talked about in our social media strategy video, around 10 to 20% of your strategy should be resurfacing fans' kind words and content around you. Obviously for stories, this is easy as a screenshot or hitting add to my story, but for feed posts, you need that classic app repost. One of the best community building things is to be supportive of your fellow musicians. If your friend just dropped their best single, shoot them a DM to send the file and repost it for a few days in your feed and show your support, and hopefully they'll do the same for you. But let's talk more about building bonds and engagement while we're talking about fans. Let's remember the management of your posts is how Instagram chooses whether or not to push it up on everything from feeds to hashtags to explore functions. It can literally be the difference between Instagram surfacing a post for a few hours compared to 2 days. So hearted comments and replying to every single comment with a comment that keeps the conversation going is key to getting Instagram to work for you. Seriously, this is super important. So if you're going hard on Instagram, you need to have notifications on and prioritize these engagements. Also remember, while it's corny, you can heart your own content and add another reply with further thoughts as you keep the comments going. One of the best tricks that also really personalizes these engagements is if someone replies to your stories, reply back with audio, as they know it's not just a copy and pasted response. Now let's talk about hashtag marketing. At some point I will talk much more about this, but a great strategy at the beginning of your fan base is to use hashtags. Now I will say, for many genres and types of musicians, this is beyond useless, and there is a reason so many people are let down by this type of marketing. But with that said, it works really well for a lot of people. Now, some people will say, the only people who follow other hashtags are producers and musicians. Yes, that's exactly right. And those are also the people who tell all the other people what to listen to and are the passionate nerds who everyone listens to get music recommendations. So this is important. In order to figure out what hashtags will work for you, you can look at the feed photos of similar artists and look at the first comment after their caption to find what hashtags they're using to get into search. If not, try searching around genre keywords and other things around your music and see if there's hashtags that are working being populated regularly. If so, start collecting them in a notes doc. Once you have some assembled, go into your text expansion shortcuts and drop them in and make a shortcut to put them in your stories and in the first comment below your caption after you make a feed post. Also remember, having 6 of these that work for you is a lot. Most artists have trouble finding 1 or 2 that do them any good. Now, I often talked about how important community is, and I talked about making sure to post friends' content. Some people on Instagram are really into this top comment strategy, where you get notified every time an account posts and try to be the first fun or interesting comment on their content. Now let's be honest, this gives off some serious desperate big virgin energy, but really it can work for followers. But since our goal is to get people to listen to your music and build a relationship with it, I don't find this to always be effective. But if you have a good rapport with your friends' bands, where you do it back and forth to one another, this can be super helpful to building up your scene and community, and fans start to recognize this joke and begin to like your group and want to follow the scene around it. Lastly, let's talk about planning content in Instagram, since it's absolutely hell. There's tons of great apps like Plan, Planoly, Later, but will allow you to think about planning content on Instagram better, which is really helpful. I like these a lot, but if you don't want to invest money, honestly, the Notes app and keeping all your posts on a photo album in your Photos app on your phone can work decently enough. But one crucial part of this is to keep posting consistent. I've talked your ear off about consistent, sustained promotion, and this really is key on Instagram. This needs to be consistent, since no one is interested in following someone who posts a lot for months, then drops off the earth, or repeats content too much. It takes a good amount of effort and dedication to stay consistent on Instagram, and you need to do it if you're really going to have this work for you. But remember, when you do all this, it compounds. It's a slow build and then gets massive, and it only gets easier as you have more followers. And now if you're watching this a week after this video has been posted, the next video in this series is on the secrets of Instagram promotion that all the huge artists use, but I want to talk about ones that are helpful for smaller musicians. That's linked now and in the description, so head there to keep learning. Thanks for watching. Am I missing anything? Is there any other way you would have done this? I need to know your questions and what no one else is telling you, since I want to answer them, so leave them in the comments, since I answer every comment in every post. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and get notified. And I'm going to be breaking down the concepts in this video along with how to promote your music and how to make songs you're happy with in the future. I have a Facebook group linked below that is only helpful information. No playlist or con artists, only artists having helpful discussions allowed. If you want to learn more about me, work on a record with me, or check out any of my books, podcasts, or anything else I do, go to jessecannon.com or @jessecannon on all the socials. One last thing, there's 2 playlists here. One is on how to grow your fan base from 0 to 10,000 fans, and the other is specially chosen to match this video. Or you can hit the subscribe button below and stay tuned as I have tons of tips for musicians.